never used one of these things before, but does it sound okay? Great. All right. Well, thanks for being here today. My talk today is on your win-win legal delivery service model. And what I want to convey to you today is that there are so many ways that we can be bringing in revenue besides practicing law. Feels kind of ironic, but it's true. And so I'm going to show you a little bit about my model and how I've been able to do that today. But first, I want to talk to you a little bit about how I ended up here. So back in February, I was on my way to the ABA Tech Show. It was the first time I was going to Tech Show, and I was super excited. And then something devastating happened. I dropped my AirPod into the toilet on the plane. And so I was so incredibly terrified and devastated that I tweeted about it, what anyone would probably do. And before I knew it, that tweet was trending. So people like John Grant and other people who wanted to own the ABA Tech Show hashtag were not particularly happy with me. I had, I think, 50 likes in just a few minutes, which for lawyers is like going viral. So I was super excited about that. And then Chad Burton coined AirPoddy, and, well, the crowd went wild. Somehow, during this whole fiasco, I got the attention of Jack Newton. And from there, he introduced me to Joshua and Lauren, and before I knew it, they were handing me brand new, beautiful AirPods. And what I didn't know at the time was that was in consideration for me speaking here today. So I don't speak, I mean, in the courtroom maybe, but this is like very new for me, and so I really appreciate all this great energy. I'm gonna try not to sound too nervous. Yeah. Thank you. So before we can really talk about a new model of delivering legal services, we need to talk about some actionable steps that drive change. So we've all moved off the internal server, finally. At least I hope you all have, right? You bought into the cloud. You've done all the hard work. You've been researching new ways. You've been researching new tech. And you've incorporated a lot of stuff over the last couple years. Is that true? But now it's time to level up. So in part one, I'm going to discuss burnout, because I think that's relevant, how millennials are screwing up the legal services industry, and how to maximize profit. And then in part two, I'm going to introduce Hello Divorce as one example of a crazy person who pivoted from a multi-million-dollar law firm to create something that would nearly kill me. Hello Divorce. But Hello Divorce is working, and I want to show you why and how. And I want to show you how you can productize your business. I don't even know if that's a word, but if it isn't, I'm making it up today. You can create legal products that compete with LegalZoom and Rocket Lawyer and all of those other non-legal services internet businesses. So I want to talk about burnout first. And for those of you who know as the Madden, she is the owner of Concierge Wills and Trusts, which is incredible. If you haven't seen it, take a look at it. But she recently talked about what burnout is. And so I'm going to read to you what she says it is, because I think a lot of us can relate. Burnout looks like you and me. Burnout looks like a cage of self-set expectations. Burnout looks like a foggy mind every day. Burnout looks like loving your work, but not being able to break free from it. Burnout looks like wanting to take a break, but not wanting to let people down. And it goes on and on. This is a post I found on LinkedIn. But burnout is real. And, you know, out of law school, you couldn't keep me out of the courtroom. My early mentor would say, everybody needs finality. It doesn't matter whether they win or they lose. People can't resolve their problems. And the best way to help them move on is to go to court and get a decision. So that's what I did for a long time, too long, because ultimately I totally burnt out. I had been working long hours. I was commuting to about an hour and a half away. I was going to trial all the time. I was getting attacked over the witness stand. That really did happen. Death threats. I mean, you name it, right? It was burnt out. And I was about ready to throw in the towel and say goodbye to my firm. But I looked around, and I had this incredible team, most of which are here today in the first table over here. They were amazing. And like me, they were trying to raise families and be good lawyers and be present. And so I knew that I had to figure out a new way that would make it less boring to me and more exciting to them. And so we moved forward. And so today I want to talk about a few ways that I use to work on overcoming burnout. And the first thing that we did was we worked to find our niche, defining our target market. Who do you want to work with? Why? What can you offer consumers? Can you scale it? There's only so many hours in the day. So even if we build 8 hours, like, that's it. That's where we end. That's all we can do. But these other areas of law, besides the consumer-facing areas, have figured out a way that they can maximize their profits. Look at personal injury, for example. So what I wanted to figure out is how we could work less and make more money. I mean, doesn't that sound good? So the first thing we did was find our niche, and the websites that you see up here and here are people that have done an extraordinary job finding their niche. So we started with the law firm, Levine Family Law Group, because I knew that before I could try out something new and take a risk, we needed to get Levine Family Law Group working super, super tight and well. And so I looked at our website, I looked at our clients, and I used to complain to my assistant, why is it that all the crazies hire us? It was like there was a billboard up that said, if you have the craziest divorce on the planet, and you want to take your spouse for everything he or she has, hire Erin. Every time. So we looked a little closer at our website and our content and our messaging, and it turned out it wasn't that far from the truth. We had that child being pulled by both parents on our website. We had zealous advocate, aggressive, will do whatever it takes to get you where you need to go. Well, it turns out that that attracts people who want to fight. And so one of the things that we knew we needed when we did a lot of teamwork was to create a business that wasn't all about litigating, because that was exhausting. And we were afraid to really niche, because when you niche, you feel like you're going to exclude so many potential clients. But we did it. And we changed our colors, we changed our manifesto, we really doubled down on that. So what's the first rule of law practice? You're always told we're too expensive to be a therapist, right? Our hourly rate is way too high. That is not the opportunity or the time to talk to your lawyer about things that are emotional. And we really turn that on its head. We think that that misses the point. When you understand your target client, and you understand not only what triggers them, but what triggers the opposing party, you negotiate a result that not only do your clients, can they live with it, but they actually are invested in it, and they're excited about it. So now you've avoided the going to court on every case, and you've also done something that is so wonderful that these clients are now going to go out and refer you to other people. There could be a whole worksheet on this topic, practice smarter and less, and I'm sure there is, but I just want to get the simple point across here. You've done the work, you've researched, you've joined lawyerist or Facebook groups with Maximum Lawyer or Brit Along on flat fees, and now it's time to truly implement. So when my kids come home after a really long day, I could say anything, like literally anything, and it's World War III. And I realized it's the exact same thing as me. When I work a 14-hour day, I'm shouting at people, I am filing contempt actions left and right, I'm calling up opposing party or opposing counsel and yelling at them for no reason. Same thing. And so one of the things we knew we needed to do was work less and work smarter. And so when we began to put true strategies in place and proactively work our cases as opposed to just being reactive, we felt more in control, clients felt more on top of their cases, and we were able to upgrade our systems in a way that that people were pleased and happy, and it looked like we had our shit together, frankly. Okay, so marketing people will know exactly what this is, but for the rest of us, this is a graph of the annual spend from companies on pay-per-click ads. These are non-lawyers. Divorce writer, It's Over Easy, 3-step divorce. They are spending over $500,000 a year. There is a huge market for people who need legal help outside traditional law. What did Jack say today? Something like 77% of people are not getting their legal needs met. There's a huge opportunity, and we can tap them by making some changes. So almost every lawyer was told at some point in their lives, you should be a lawyer. Whether it was you were able to resolve disputes on the play yard without fists, or you were incredibly good at negotiating with your parents, you argued well. But I want you to think back to what it is that made you want to be a lawyer. What did people tell you you were good at? And then I want you to look at your law practice today and see if you are capitalizing on that. Because life is too short to not do exactly what you love. I encourage you to look to other things besides the practice of law. And this goes back to burnout. There are so many opportunities, and it's a lot easier to rank organically high with something like divorce workshop than it is with divorce lawyer, right? And so some of you might be into speaking, book writing. Granted, that's pretty hard to make money, but it's possible. Workshops on divorce, online courses. Courses are huge. Lynda.com sold for over $1 billion. It doesn't take a lot of money to make a divorce course or a course on anything, any area of law that you practice, and put it up online. Perhaps you want to be a special master or be a mediator. Again, not that difficult to get into, but it can make the world of difference in terms of your happiness, and you become a thought leader in that piece of your industry, which is a marketing benefit that is huge. And then finally, the legal products, which I will get into in a minute. So why should we consider changing our legal model? Well, Jack gave us a number of reasons, primarily one being that people aren't getting their legal needs met. But like, what do we care about that? The billable hour has worked well for us, right? If it ain't broke, don't fix it. But the bottom line is that law is changing, and we feel it more than most because we're in the San Francisco Bay Area, everyone's in tech, consumers are smart, they're pushing us. But if you don't feel it yet, you will feel it. And maybe not year 1, year 2, but in 5, 10 years, law is really going to look different. We're talking about moving towards this win-win model. With legal services, you're making money without burning yourself out, and you're making consumers happy. Unless you are living under a rock, millennials are reshaping the industry. They truly are. The market is changing, as Jordan Furlong says, from a dormant, low-tech, individualistic system to a dynamic, high-tech, collaborative one. Millennial lawyers are going to rewrite the DNA of law firms. So traditional law, most of which many of us have always practiced, they're going to be retainer-based fees, full representation, a lot of negative imagery, motivating by fear. That's what we do. That's how we've been taught. And this lack of transparency. What we were seeing is that consumers wanted more efficiency. They had information, access to a ton of information. They just didn't know how to process that information. Millennials are willing to pay for legal services. That's not the issue. They want to pay for the type of legal services that they consider to be an art form, the problem solving, the strategy for negotiation, for resolving your dispute. They don't want to pay for the information. That fortress that we've been hiding behind all these years, keeping the information to us, it's not going to work for them. And just because you give it to them doesn't mean that they're not going to need legal help. In fact, they're going to be that much better of a client when they come in and they've done some research on procedure and they've done some research on what the law will look like. So what does the future look like? Well, the future is now. We're looking at efficiency, transparent information, in some cases, fixed fees. I mean, I get it. The billable hour has done wonders for our firm, and it's really hard to move off it. And I'm not suggesting that everyone should. But there are so many areas of law or types of disputes, especially uncontested ones, where we can be doing fixed fees. And fixed fees make sense. You've been perfecting templates for years and years and years. So in some cases, to do a complaint or a petition takes you 6 minutes, 12 minutes. Does it make sense at that point to bill 12 minutes? No. It's your expertise that people want to see and know. And so I urge you to start thinking about how a flat fee model or subscription-based, which we'll get into, can really serve your interests and your clients. One of the things, as I said earlier, that we did before I could start Hello Divorce, I really needed to streamline Levine Family Law Group and make sure that it was running at its top shape. So after being involved with Lawyerist for many years, thank you, Lawyerist, we hired Modern Law Practice and learned to integrate tech and use the existing tech that we had. We learned to streamline systems. We started paying attention to our business metrics. We talked about different billable options and alternative methods of delivering legal services. So what I ultimately decided to do was move that alternative method outside of Levine Family Law into Hello Divorce because it felt like a risk that I wasn't necessarily willing to take, not just for me, but for my entire team. And we know where we are headed, right? We know where the industry is going, but how do you get there? So for me, it all started with an idea that needed to be mapped out. And what we started with was, if there's a client who doesn't have a lawyer from start to finish, what might they need? What would their user journey be like? And we started mapping it out. And then soon after that, we did a survey with hundreds and hundreds of people that either had just started a divorce, had just finished a divorce, or were thinking about divorce. I like to call it divorce curious. And found out that what they needed and what they wanted was technology, yes, convenience, yes, but connection to humans. That was most important to them. And I was so excited to hear that, because if I built it out 100% with technology, I wouldn't have any money left, right? So that was a good thing. And then, of course, we had to remap our entire process after that, but it was absolutely worth it. So Hello Divorce, to me, is a win for the client consumer because they have more legal options. They can get help that's affordable and super convenient. And it's a win for me and my team because it gives us passive income. It's been really wonderful sitting here at this conference and seeing emails come in with purchases. I've never before had that, but this is new. And so what I want to address here a little bit is introduce you to Hello Divorce. And I'm hoping that for you, it's not necessarily that you go out and copy what I've done, although, give it a shot. It's that at conferences like this is an opportunity to really build your tribe. Like, everyone in this room is capable of making big changes to their firm. And so many people are even more qualified to speak than me. But if you connect with each other and hold each other accountable and collaborate, that's how you're going to get there, because I could not have done this on my own, that's for sure. So the first thing that we did with Hello Divorce is break down the law of family law into different categories. We took off our lawyer hats. You absolutely have to do that. Consumers do not care about words like ex parte, request for orders. They have no idea what that means, and they don't want to hear it. So we used plain English. We put the information out there. We even put the law out there. We even gave consumers the ability to calculate child and spousal support. And then, because we had literally no budget after we launched, we started content marketing. We started these worksheets that allowed people who were going through divorce or divorce curious to start thinking about all the things that come up that they're scared about. Because I think when you have a legal issue, the most stressful period of time is when you decide to do something or you're forced into it and the legal issue is concluded. And in divorce or landlord-tenant or bankruptcy, you're really left with so many issues. How are we going to co-parent? What are we going to do to handle the legal procedure? Who's going to help? What's life going to look like after divorce? Now, I've taken the content marketing approach, but that's not what you have to do, right? Like, I like to hide behind my computer. That works for me. I love to connect. I love to create. But not everyone's going to do that. And so when you think about marketing your new approach to law, I always say pick 3 things. If you are totally into the Rotary Club, go for it. If you are big on LinkedIn, if you like to speak at local bar association events, then go for it. But pick 3. You pick anything more than that, or a marketing strategy that you don't like, you will never do it. Never. You will never stick with it. So this is just another example of some of the free downloads that we've offered to people who are thinking about divorce. And one thing I will tell you is it's a much longer sales cycle for the most part. Because when they call your law firm, people are ready to lawyer up. But when they go to Hello Divorce, sometimes they're ready to start their legal issue, but more often, they're starting to gather information. That's what all of us do when we face any hardship. We're gathering information. This is the Divorce Navigator. It's the first of its kind DIY divorce web application that incorporates not just a start-to-finish divorce, but also allows people to access on-demand lawyers when they need it for a fixed fee, and upgrade. For a fixed fee, they can have their documents filed and served. Our Divorce Navigator is subscription-based. It's $99 a month, and it integrates with already existing technology. So if you haven't tried Laya or Documate, now would be a really good time to do it, because it offers users the ability to do a guided interview. They never have to look at the complicated forms or pleadings. They fill out a guided interview, and then their forms are instantly populated. So with the Divorce Navigator, we also have an interactive guide, so people can check off along the way where they are in the process. They can also come back to it whenever they want. They can stop and save. And the brilliant thing about this is not talking about brilliance in me, but in the consumer, is that what they're doing is they're getting through each step, and then they are connecting with a lawyer in between the steps to ensure that they have done the documents right and that they haven't in any way, shape, or form jeopardized their case if it should go to litigation. So it's been really interesting to watch the users do this, but one thing that we hear over and over again is, like, I want to be able to do this on my own time. I want to be able to connect with lawyers from my home or my office, and with the Divorce Navigator, they're able to do that, and there is really nothing stopping them, nothing preventing them from moving forward. So this is a picture of how Documate looks on their phones. So it is a mobile application and not ready for download, but you can, if you level up to our DIY divorce, then you can have access to it. So one thing that consumers really, really want is transparency in process, and pricing, excuse me. It is so easy these days to use Stripe or LawPay and a WordPress plugin called WooCommerce to handle everything, start to finish. So when a user signs up for Hello Divorce, they get their welcome email, they pay, they get their fee agreement, which we call terms and conditions, if they have purchased legal services with the firm. They get their order confirmation email, they are scheduled to speak with a lawyer, all before I even look at the case. So when we start, we always encourage people to start with the starter membership. This is an opportunity for them to look at videos, people learn differently, emails. They can click on any of our resources, they can calculate support, but most importantly, they go into our marketing funnel, and then at any point they can level up. So the first 3 membership levels have nothing to do with lawyers. They are not legal services. We've got the DIY Divorce, which is the $99 a month access to the Divorce Navigator. Divorce Plus, which in California we have legal document assistance. I know they do in Arizona too, and I'm not sure about other states, but, well, actually I am sure, but I don't know them off the top of my head. The legal document assistant handles the entire divorce start to finish. They're connecting with consumers along the way. They're telling them you can do this, everything's going to be fine. They're doing a lot of non-legal stuff. But that's what people want. Like, once you know how to do the forms, it's not particularly complicated when you have an uncontested action. But what consumers want is to feel like they're on the right track, that they're moving forward, that they're connected and they're supported. And once you draft these emails and once you do these videos, they're there and they can just be sent to your clients and very little interaction is needed. And then our final membership option is the divorce with benefits. And that includes the legal document assistant doing the divorce or the divorce navigator and 2 hours of legal coaching or mediation. So another thing that you can do if you're not quite ready to level up and do the web application is you can make your services a lot more accessible like they are in other industries. What we've done is legal coaching, people can simply understand what legal coaching is, or mediation coaching. They can go to our site, they can get a sense for what it is that they might need, they can add it to their cart, pay for it. Again, they're routed to a scheduler. Soon it will be through Clio, now that we know that's available. Right now it's through AppToto. They're routed to a scheduler, and then the only thing that's left is for us to do a conflict check. And when they sign that client-attorney agreement, they are told at that point in time that if for any reason there is a conflict, their money will be refunded within 24 hours. So this has been really instrumental in terms of bringing in business. And one thing that I will say is there are thousands of stay-at-home parents that are lawyers that want to use their mind. They want some extra work. They don't necessarily want to work full-time or go to court, but they're waiting for opportunities like this. So you don't necessarily need to use your existing firm lawyers if you're discounting your legal services or if you have an insane amount of volume after putting out a website that offers an easy way to purchase legal coaching without a big intake process. But there's options out there, which I'm happy to talk to anyone about. Okay, so there's been a lot of talk lately about, is this just a hobby? Is this really working? It's working. These aren't huge numbers. These numbers are not nearly as much as what our law firm is. But one thing I want to share with you is that until this month, we had spent virtually nothing on advertising and marketing. 0. This is all word of mouth. This is all people following us on social media. This is all people in this room sharing it with their friends and family. And as you'll see, we launched that Divorce Navigator in May, and through September, because this is a year-to-date through September, we had $50,000 in sales. That was literally me doing nothing. The Divorce Navigator is built. And it's built on some proprietary software, yes, but primarily integrating the software that you and I always use on a regular basis. So I just want you, my hope is that you will look at your law practice differently than you have ever before. That you'll take your lawyer hat off, that you'll look at industries who have done amazing things in technology and user experience. One, for example, to me that really stands out is Lemonade for insurance, right? They took the old, antiquated insurance model and just flipped it on its head. And now we can easily access insurance. We don't feel so bad anymore about paying for it. And we feel connected. It feels lighter. That's what I want you to do. If consumers weren't interested in it, we wouldn't have anyone at Hello Divorce. We wouldn't be having any sales, but they are. And they want their experience to be really smooth. They want their process to be easy. Just like Jack showed us with Starbucks, ultimately, that's what law can be. And it doesn't mean that it's not an art form, and it doesn't mean that we don't have something special to celebrate. We absolutely do. And like I said, the more and more we surveyed millennials, the more we learned that they will pay for legal services, that they recognize that it is necessary. but they're not willing to just shell out money and never know how long the action's going to take or what it's going to cost. So if we can quantify that for them, if we can do transparent billing, if we can offer services and courses and information, even if it is something that we charge for, but we do it in a way that feels accessible, that feels like it's in plain English, that feels like you can connect with, that's going to be huge. That's going to have you not just stand out. Because even if you don't believe all the rhetoric on the law changing, at worst, you have now created a practice or a company that stands out from the competition, and at best, you're leagues ahead and you're ready to go when the legal system really does change. So thank you for joining me for the Clio Cloud Conference Win-Win Legal Services Model, and I'd just like to take a few minutes to have anyone here ask me some questions, except for Nick Rishwain here in the front, because we all know what a sarcastic jerk he can be, but anybody else has questions, I'd love to answer them. Yes?
Sorry. I have a question with regard to accessing outside attorneys to assist with your counseling and how that might apply with regard to liability for your firm.
What?
Liability for your firm.
Yeah. So, Desiree, can you raise your hands? Desiree is one of my awesome moms who is working through our firm. So, Hello Divorce, the technology company, can't hire Desiree or any other of our lawyers, right? So those people that are at home doing this, they are working through the law firm, and they're either employees or they're contractors. If they're contractors, sometimes you can require them to have their own malpractice insurance liability, or we can have it. I will say that malpractice insurance carriers are trying to get their heads around this. They're not really sure what to do. So you have to find a broker who really knows what they're doing and can frame it in a way that gets you covered, which is really big. One thing I will say is that the insurance company that we ultimately went with thought it was kind of a joke, like no one's actually going to go for this, so they gave us a really good deal. I think things are going to change, but for now, it's been really awesome. The other thing is that these moms or dads that are legal coaching, they just open their calendar whenever they have a free half-hour, hour. So the consumer could potentially be talking to a lawyer at 8, 9, 10 o'clock at night after the kids go to bed. Win-win, because the lawyer's making money, the company's making money, and the consumer is getting legal advice exactly how they want to get it.
Yay. Now looking back, maybe overcomplicated things. Oh, thanks.
So the question is, if I could do it over, would I establish 2 separate corporations? And I did do it over. So now I do have 2 separate corporations, because ultimately Hello Divorce is scaling into other states, and we're partnering with other law firms that exist all throughout the country. So Hello Divorce itself is a legal technology company. It partners with firms like Levine Family Law Group to provide legal services. I also will say that when we first established Hello Divorce, we had 1 million options. And consumers were so overwhelmed. Remember, if they're coming to you, it's because they have a legal issue. And even for us, when we have a legal issue, it's overwhelming. Imagine knowing nothing about the legal industry or the services and having to figure it out. So you've got to give them just a few options. Too many and they won't purchase. They want you to tell them what it is that they need. Right there. That's such a good question, and it's like the biggest pain point that we have. quality control is so challenging. And so for the last year, and my team can verify this because they're like literally going crazy, it's all been about standard operating procedures. We worked with Billy Tarasio and Chad Burton on how we could figure out a way to really get our processes in place so that if one person ended up not working out, then the whole thing wouldn't fall apart. Like, how many people had a staff person or a lawyer leave, and you're like, crap, I have no idea even what they did. How am I going to make a job description? You know, how do you do postage stamps? How do you fax file? All that kind of thing. But if you have your standard operating procedures, then people know ahead of time, your millennial or your Gen Xers or your Z employees or contractors, what's expected of them, and people like to know what's expected of them. And so when we are looking for outside firms to partner with Hello Divorce, we're looking for people that can take a look at our onboarding process, that understand, that connect with us. Ultimately, though, it's all about like the gut check, instincts. Are these people going to be able to connect with our clients? Because we know lawyers know the law, and most people aren't going to have complicated legal issues if they're coming to Hello Divorce. What I need to know is that these lawyers can really connect, and in a way that like is, you know, conducive to our brand.
Got a question right back here. Go for it, sir.
Stand up. Hey, Erin.
Hi.
It's Dave Aarons
Good
from
to see
Unbundled
you.
Attorney.
Yeah.
How's it going? First of all, I've told you many times before, I love what you're doing as far as providing this unbundled, fixed fee, pay-as-you-go type of service. It's right in alignment with what Jack was talking about in the keynote earlier as far as trying to make that market and product fit and meeting people with where they're at and making things affordable for them. I'm just curious if you have thought about or where you're at in the process of thinking through adding on like limited appearances and being able to provide lawyers as well to not only provide the advice and document drafting, but also enter limited appearances in the states that it's permissible, and also the procedures are in place to be able to offer that.
Yeah, Dave Aarons is from Unbundled Attorney. If you haven't checked that out, you absolutely should. I mean, this is the reason why I've been like reaching out and like knocking on your door. Ultimately, I think we will provide limited scope services and appearances, and that's certainly something that we're planning for, but it's not where we need to be right now. And I think that's the thing, right? Anytime you're building a company, there's a million different ways you can go. And ultimately, you just have to launch, right? You just have to take the risk and just go for it and see if it works. And so, yes, certainly we're moving in that direction, but not quite yet.
So, hi. First of all, it's Rookie right here. I just want to say thank you so much. I've been following you and your brand for some time now, and I've actually been utilizing a lot of what you've been doing to start my own practice. I'm a big law refugee. So, I also, like you, I'm an attorney from California, and one of the biggest questions that I have right now as I scale up my own practice is, what is the structure that you have in place for your law practice? Because as I understand, in California, you can't have an LLC, unlike a lot of other states. You can't have an LLC that practices professional legal services. So can you break that down a little bit?
Yeah. So I'm not sure if this answers the question, and if it doesn't, please let me know. With the law firm, we have 2 tracks. Our average client spend for our litigation clients is $17,500. Our average client spend with Hello Divorce referred clients is $1,500. And yet, when you increase that volume, we really have very little in overhead. We have to be really careful with how we onboard clients and what the process is related to that. At Levine Law, it's going to be much more of a handheld, personalized, come into the office, let me get you an espresso experience, versus the people that are purchasing online. They are purchasing legal services with a law firm, but they don't want to think of it that way. And so it's really important that they can easily access it and that everything's automated and that they can schedule without having to call a lawyer or drive down to their office in the middle of the day during big time traffic. So the law firm itself is a corporation. There's 2 separate tracks, and the lawyers are either handling the Levine Family Law Group cases, or they're handling the cases that come in through Hello Divorce. But it's a very different way of training your employees, and it's a very different way of practicing law. I ultimately believe, especially now that we have launched October 1st our pay-per-click and our paid marketing campaigns, that ultimately Levine Family Law Group and other firms that we partner with will be simply there to support the legal coaching that and document review that we get through Hello Divorce.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Anybody else?
I have a question. So I understand the concept of the 2 different entities. So I'm a client, I'm coming into Hello Divorce, I love what you're doing. How do I end up with Levine Law Firm?
So they are seeing all the services, all the potential products that they can purchase without it necessarily being differentiated between Hello Divorce and Levine Family Law Group, because that's confusing. Now, we do have disclaimers, we do have terms and conditions, and ultimately when they go to purchase, they're now told which service that they're going to be provided. Either way, the client really doesn't care because everything is integrated. So how many times have you had someone come in from LegalZoom or Divorce Writer or It's Over Easy where they totally have screwed up their case and now they need help from you? What we're doing is we're catching those people beforehand, before that happens. They're coming in, the lawyer is now able to see the documents that the client has done on the Divorce Navigator, and they're working with them to help them through the divorce case or coaching them through mediation. So I think that, we're dealt with a lot of legal ethics rules, and believe me, the most money I've spent is on having an ethics lawyer on retainer. But there's a lot of information out there. You don't necessarily need to reinvent the wheel. Axiom law, there's so many people out there, LegalZoom, who have this information about what ethics concerns we have and how to address them. And ultimately, it's an unknown, right? The worst that happens is one of these states come and say, no, you can't do it, and then we'll figure out another way to do it, but we're not going to stop. This is clearly what consumers want, a new way to access legal services.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Oh, yeah. Okay, I'm going to have to take a selfie. And if you're not following me on social media, Hello Divorce, it's at Hello Divorce. So Twitter, Instagram, please join us and help me continue the conversation, because I don't know about you, but I'm super passionate about everything that's changing in the law. I've been waiting for this. This is the reason I went into it. And I'm so thankful that I burnt out so that I could get the opportunity to try something new. And I'm not the only one doing it. So while I'm happy to talk to you, I'm also happy to help you find the right tribe of people that can help you to establish what works for you and your lifestyle. Okay, selfie time. All right, I need smiles and jazz hands. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.